Welcome. Today we're going to discuss the technique calming the storm, its execution, some of the things that can go wrong with its execution, and just a couple things that you should know about the technique. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the attack. Obviously we're dealing with a stick. In Kenpo, stick we refer to it as a storm. That's the argot that we use. So in this case, calming, we get the name from calming because if you look at a storm, the center of the storm, the eye of the storm is usually the calmest part of the storm. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to get to the center. So if you look at the concept of a circle within a square, if you looked at the circle, their four corners are typically not touched by the circle in the square. Those are known as our zones of sanctuary. We pick them up in another one of our techniques that deals with storms. And this picks up the fifth one, which is the center of the storm, which is why we're going to calming the storm. So the first thing we need to talk about is the attack. As he comes in with a right roundhouse club attack, I want to stop this before it gets any power. So if you look at a circle, the farthest part of the circle is the apex. If you look at his arm, this is the apex of the circle. Anything here or before, I can stop it fairly easy. I'm using one finger and you can tell I can stop him. Anything past that, and it becomes very hard for me to stop him, especially at this angle because he's in our minimal depth zone. So the idea here is when we step forward is I want to stop him at that point. Now keep in mind, because we're stepping so close, you do have to worry about straddling the paddle. So I don't want my heel to go past his heel and then exposed to growing. So you want to make sure that your heel never goes past his heel. This is why some people like to do the knee check and strike with the knee. I don't particularly like to do this version because then I don't have the alignments for the rest of the technique. So just keep in mind that that's there. So when we step forward, make sure you don't straddle the paddle, keep the knee checking if you can, and then keep your elbow anchored. So another thing that happens here because of the punch, we're trying to be nice to our ukis. We do our punch and pull it, and then now I have to extend my arm to block it, which leaves a line of entry for him if he recognizes the position. So I want to make sure that I'm always keeping a check on the weapon. So I want to make sure my arm's vertical and my punch is compensated. This is why we're doing a vertical, especially we're striking above our shoulder. So you don't want to do a horizontal, you'd have to bend your wrist. So keep it a vertical, keep the elbow anchored. And again, if you were doing this realistically, I'd want that hand to go as far as I can so that I can end the technique. But we're stopping here, so the next thing that can go wrong is I try to punch from point of origin. Well, this gives me an angle of deflection. This is not a proper line to strike with. So what I want to do is turn him and cock my weapon at the same time. So we're going to hit to the inside of the shoulder, which actually starts canceling the arm and setting my arm up. A problem that can go wrong here is I start an orbit that I have to worry about. So keep in mind, I want to try to go more towards the left front flank, not directly to the side. So when I do that, it starts to move him and I can strike. I could also easily change this into a check if I needed to for that other hand as well, instead of the strike. So let's talk about the final maneuver. Here I'm going to come back with a waiter's check. So if you notice, this is a very specific check that we do where the hand is on top of the arm so that he can't go over it. Right? It's a lot easier for me to feel contact. If he's moving, I'm able to go with it without having to keep an eye on the arm. And then let's talk about the final strike. So from here, from our forward bow, as we deliver this back knuckle, notice this is not just a regular back knuckle like we typically do. This is actually hitting down at a 45. So I want to settle, it's rotating. Okay, so this is a circle within a circle. So as I turn, I use my counter rotational torque and I drop down. And you want to hit down at a 45 right into that floating rib. So let's talk about this one more time. Calming the storm, make sure we don't go past the leg, make sure this elbow stays anchored, try to stop him at or before the apex, vertical punch to the face. Check and cock the weapon, deliver the vertical strike, get my waiter's check as I settle and drop. Now if you notice at this point, this is where the technique would end. Mr. Parker did this purposeful for you to decide what to do from here. I could easily continue to add stuff, or just as easily I can choose to cover out. But if you notice, neither one of those is part of the ideal technique. That's up to you to decide what you want to do from there. We will be doing a cover out in this video. We're going to do it one more time a little bit quicker so you can see it a little bit faster. Up. We hope this video helps you. Thank you very much.